Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Good Car Show. This episode is proudly brought to you by VSQ Interiors, a company that specializes in turning your dream home into reality. You can check out their Instagram at VSQ Interiors and marvel at their amazing work. You can check out how they turn homes, they transform it into a work of art. I wish I knew this company earlier. Today, I'm joined by its founder, once nail salon owner who sold her business, took a 3-month break, then accidentally stumbled into interior design. We're going to find out how someone accidentally stumbles into a successful business. I would like to have those accidents happen to me as well. Now, she has appeared on many amazing publications, none other than Nona and Tatler Malaysia, just to name a few. And today, we're going to find out how she set up her business, her flourishing business, and her thoughts on the industry, and perhaps get a bit of advice from her for future interior decorators out there who are aspiring to join the marketplace. Please welcome the wonderful, the amazing, the successful Miss Shini Petrina Raman. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Now, you mentioned, as I said, that this whole thing was accidental. So how can you elaborate on the journey that you took from a once nail salon owner to running VSQ Interiors?
I've always been a fan of, I've always been one where appreciated having a good lifestyle, being a lifestyle visualizer. So which compromises beauty, design, and everything pretty. So when I started my nail business, I had a very good run, and it was doing very well. So I gave it a 3 years run, and then I sold the business off, took a break, and I was just lounging around in my parents' home, and then I told my mom, I think it's time to remodel your living area, and my mom just gave me that look and said, no, I'm not going to give you any money to do that. Then I said, fine, I'll do it on my own. So I remodeled her living area, and I didn't think much of it, right? And I just uploaded it on social media. At that time, it was Facebook. I don't think Instagram was up at that time, but Facebook was the hype. So I uploaded it on Facebook, and I woke up, I went to bed, and I woke up the next day with tons of messages. My entire message inbox was filled, and my emails had a lot of query asking, hey, are you an interior designer? I have this property, can you help me out, and all that. And I'm like, hang on. That would mean people saw something in my before and after photos. And yeah, so I decided to actually, I didn't start immediately because I needed some experience and all that. So I started taking small spaces like kitchens, living areas, bathrooms. I started small. So that was in 2012, right? From there, I stumbled many times, only to learn the trick and trade, to learn the business, to navigate the entire community of contractors, designers, and architects, and so on. So yeah, it started from there, and we're in 2024, and it's been a growing process with a fairly set of challenges, but many sweet winning moments at the same time to reach to where I am right now. I've got a long more way to go, but it's just that it's taken that to be here today.
Interestingly, on the way here, you were telling me that you started way back in 2012, and you were considered an underdog.
Yes.
So how did that underdog? I mean, what sort of things did you face early on in your career that you overcame to where you are now?
One would think this entire design industry is based upon textbooks, right? Some agree, some don't. You sometimes take that course, and you take a professional certs and everything to be what you are. But mine was actually just pure passion. I just love turning spaces that before and after it's just something beautiful. So I didn't have time to actually go to school and learn this and get everything sorted out, because that took time and all. So therefore, what I did is I invested time, I invested years, I invested a lot of falls, I invested a lot of learning curves, and studied from there. And then I started taking online courses because that was a little bit more easier for me to navigate time, for me to be able to pay for those online courses and still get an income at the same time. So I did a run of both, and also I'm more of a street smart survivor person, so I picked up immediately because it involved a lot of I know I've got an eye for good things, and I know I've got an eye for pretty things, and then I just need to apply people's skills, and I just need to work 10 times harder than a person who comes with all these certifications and all that, because I have to prove myself. I've got to be in the same par with them. So yeah, it was a learning curve lah.
You know, interesting you say that, because when I looked at your Instagram, see, I come from a PR marketing background. So when I look at your Instagram, it sort of tells me that I get the feeling that I'm looking at something that is very premium, sophisticated, classy. And I mean, I must say, when I was reading the article about your home, by the way, you have a beautiful home, I have to say.
Thank you.
My favorite part of the home is your bathroom. Dear Lord, I want that bathroom. That is so nice. I could spend hours in that bathroom.
Oh,
right?
thank you.
No, but and even when I see you in your Instagram and all that, you're always dressed to the nines. You really put up. You really permeate this sort of image of yourself. As a marketing person, I can appreciate that, really appreciate that. So was this intentional, and how has this sort of framing of yourself and your business really contributed to the growth of your company?
See, this takes us back to the start of the conversation when I said the way I look at design and the way I look at whatever I'm doing is applying this entire role as a lifestyle visualizer. You need to visualize to be able to create beautiful things and to create art in any form, because art comes in any form. Therefore, it starts with you, because coming from the beauty industry, when it comes to the nail salon that when it was about the nail salon and all that, this entire passion carries throughout. Because from wanting beautiful nails, from wanting a beautiful boutique salon, how does that apply to a beautiful space? It's just basically not the same genre, but the same flow along the way. See, when I had my boutique, this nail salon, many of my clients who came, they did tell me that, oh wow, your boutique is beautiful. I've not seen any boutique like this, because I took time to decorate it. So I already picked up hints from then that I have a knack for this, and yeah, that. Basically, that's about it.
I understand. Again, you you've not just set up a company, you've become sort of like a thought leader in this industry, because you've spoken at events, you've spoken at, I saw on your Instagram that you've also spoken at events talking about ID and all this in this sort of space. You are very highly respected. Now, what would be your advice to newcomers into this industry, the new IDs? What should they do to sort of grow their business and achieve a similar sort of success as you have?
I wouldn't say I'm a leader yet. There are many amazing interior designers out there that are far more experienced than me, and all. I have a group of friends. We call ourselves the Design Collectives, right? Shout out to my Design Collective friends, if I may say. We have we go in a group, and they are far more. They are far more seniors than me, and they create amazing details. So I don't think I want to be called a leader, but I want to be there in the industry, and I want to float with the rest, because they're all amazing, and all of the designers out there, they're all amazing, the ones that I know lah. So yeah, I wouldn't call myself a leader lah, but I'm there. I know my job. I know and I know the industry well enough to be able to sit down here together today with you and have a conversation.
Yeah, it's great. Now, in this, of course, the world of interior design has grown. It's I'm sure it was very different from when you started 12 years ago.
Yes.
What are the main differences between how it is now and how it was then when you were first starting up?
It's taken a shift. Before the pandemic, it was the way it was before the pandemic and the way it is right now. It's definitely taken a big shift. Everybody is realizing it, including my colleagues in the industry, from budget cuts to the availability of materials and the demanding hours and handling clients who are also having budgets and all that. It's been a challenge. There's a significant change from before pandemic to after. Yeah.
Has the market demand changed?
Oh yes, definitely.
As in people wanted more?
Definitely. It's always it's always and I'm not saying this to blame either party or to say any less of either party. Everybody wants beautiful things. You need to be able to have the budget to have that. So everyone is out there squeezing you till the last to get their last penny worth. That creates a lot of, one may say challenge, I call it stress sometimes, on us designers to make that come true and to make that materialize for the clients, for homeowners. So coming back to the shift after the pandemic and all, prices have gone up, obviously. The way we order our materials, the way our lead time takes when it comes to our fabrication and all, it's all changed. And prices are still going up, if I'm not mistaken, in the construction industry. So that affects the entire cost. For example, a 3+2 condo about 5 years ago, let's forget about the pandemic. 5 years ago, you could have the condo renovated, fully furnished, and hand over for about 250. You could have done that, but now it's a little bit impossible to make that happen, at least for my standard of designing. And but I'm not saying that I'm the bestest. I try to do the best, but we were unable to do that because labor cost has gone up, materials have gone up, fabrication have gone up, soft materials have gone up, everything has gone up. Your time cost has gone up. Traveling is expensive now. Time is expensive now. And the demand and the stress, it all boils down to the cost. See, from the client's point of view, when a budget is being brought up, and that's about it. But there are a lot of things that we designers and we contractors do to get that budget allocated. So those are the things that sometimes clients don't see. That's the challenge we face. For example, if we were to from the get-go, we would say, okay, we will get a certain particular, for example, a piece of furniture for about that X amount of money. And then when the order kicks in, the price changes. So we need to be the in-between person to navigate it and all. So that's just a very small example, but there are many, many other ways and there are many other challenges that we face. Yeah. So to whoever who try to compare, I always tell my clients, do not compare today's pricing. Do not hire an ID and compare prices 5 years ago with today. But most of them know, but there are just a small percentage of them who will still bring out comparisons from years before, it's something the trade, you just need to,
I mean, now with the influx of foreign workers, and you see a lot of construction work being done by foreigners and all that. Of course, this was very different when I was a kid. More locals were more active in this market. Has that affected the overall output of or the completion of the project? Like in your case, because you work with contractors and all that. So does foreign labor actually help you, or is it more of a burden, or is it more challenging now?
The only way I can answer this is by just pointing out the good and the bad by it. Yes, foreign workers, they are there to help you and all, but most of them are not skilled enough to actually carry out the job. So you really need to find a particular tradesman, a contractor, or the head of a trade, to be able to train their foreign workers, their downliners, to carry out the job as how it was during the days when we had our locals doing it. These days, because you see, there are new homes are popping out everywhere. Like new homes are being built at every second, therefore, the demand is there, but the labor workers that we have, it's not enough. So what they do is they just randomly get labor workers from different trades and they start to train up. Sometimes they train in a matter of weeks and months. So when they start a particular builder, there's a lot of challenges that comes together with it. So therefore, again, that's on the stress of the architects or the IDs or whoever who's designing the home to be able, they have to be able to go down to the grassroots and survey the market, speak to people to get the bestest of team. I am lucky in a way where I have gone through a lot of setbacks and challenges when it comes to having contractors and all to carry out my designs and to carry out dreams. But along the way, what I've done is I have picked, I've selected all the people, all the tradesmen that I've worked with, and we have now formed a team. When I say form the team, I meant like we have the main contractors and we've got the M&Es and we've got your mill workers and your carpenters, your the plumbers and all that. I have gathered all of them as I've selected the heads of all these companies. So I've brought them together into I put them together in VSQ Interiors, and today we roll in a team. So I don't have that much challenges of getting a team that I won't be able to control the finishes and all that, because my team, who has been with me for a good, I think for a good 5 to 6 years, they already know the flow. They know the quality I expect. They know they know how I am when I walk into a site. So they know what I'm about to command when I walk into the site. And today I am a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more daring to take a step further from what I always have been, because I've got a great team behind me. But I'm not going to kid you lah. Everybody makes mistakes. There are flaws here and there. It's how you pick it up and how you race towards the finishing line. So when I race towards the finishing line, I know I've got a very good team behind me.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's crucial, definitely, right?
Extremely.
Yeah. In terms of interior design, one of the perceptions is that it's a very costly business, especially from the side of the customer, right? So, in your company, the service that you provide, is the total cost malleable to the client's demands, or do you only work with a certain range or income group, or how?
No, I don't. I till today just take somebody who calls me up and say, hey, I've got this this master bedroom and this ensuite, I would like to do it up. I still take small ones. That's where I started with. I will never say no. It's just that timeline matters. If you are in a rush, you need to wait. If you can't wait, then it is what it is. Some choose not to, because it doesn't justify with the time and the dollar cost, but I still don't. I still accept it because I started from there. So yes,
you're not going to let that go.
It's for me. It's just a timeline. You just need to wait. If you can wait, I will be more than happy to sort the job out.
So I should book you early for my next house. Now, this market, recently when I just got the keys to my house and I went to visit the home, and we were at the porch and all that, and then immediately without calling out, I got cards being handed to me by people, right? You know, same thing, you know, like ID and everything. This market seems to have become like a red ocean. It's very hyper competitive, right? So how do you navigate through your competitors and to still stand out and still have all the success that you've had?
Representation, what you put out there on your social media, word of mouth. VSQ Interiors has been steadily growing. Besides the presence of social media, is also because of the word of mouth. I've got amazing set of clients, and some of us have become friends now. And so when it just takes one recommendation to another, and that's how I have been running my show. And then with the presence of social media as well, I guess both sides help lah. Yeah. So coming back to you getting cards being and brochures being left, it must have been a new residential area. So you will have a sea of contractors out there. So they will get their workers to walk past every house and drop all your name cards in there.
I
don't even have time to do that.
Wow, that's awesome. It's nice to say that. You know. Again, I mean, I'm a small town boy, and back then I think the world of ID was not really that famous. Now it is, right? Now everyone's talking about it. So what's the value that a customer gets when they engage an interior designer, in this case you, to do up their home?
Value. Putting monetary aside, it's my time, my dedication, my ideas, my commitment, that all adds up to the value. Because when a client hires an interior designer, I always tell my clients that interior designer that you roll with from 3 to 6 months or however long it is, she's going to be closer to you than anyone else, because this interior designer will be in touch with you almost daily for everything. You're going to be, the interior designer is going to be that one person that's going to roll with you like an emotional roller coaster for the 6 months. The communication between an interior designer and a client during the 6 months is going to be very, very important. So good communication skills, updates is very important. What I notice in my line is that when an interior designer and a client get together, when the project kicks off and everything, sometimes, and this is not to say all the interior designers are doing this, but sometimes when they start the process, they are so into building the home for this client, and most of them are working people, 9 to 5. They don't have the time to come to their sites to see the updates and all that. So you need to keep the client updated at least a few times a week, just to have that communication and that flow going, so that the clients know, okay, this week this has happened, this was a challenge, and this is how we are going to overcome it and all. That's one, I know that for me, that has been a very good way how to strengthen the tie between an interior designer and a client. So this will make these two parties become close to a certain extent until the day of handover. Okay. Yeah, and then some become my friends until today. Yes. I mean, again, what you're doing is something I could never do. I mean, I'm horrible. I couldn't paint to save my life. But I would like to understand. But I don't paint. I get people to paint for me.
Okay. I
don't paint.
I don't paint. But I have worked with someone before for my previous home, and but in your case, I mean, to come up with the designs that you have, I just love it. I mean, I love the wood. You a lot of wood in your design. I honestly, I love it. I'm not just saying this. I love it. Right?
Thank you.
But what is your process like? So now, say for example, if I were to work with you, right? How do you go to an empty space and then at the end of it come up with this 3D? I mean, how do you go from there to there?
So let me run through the steps. A client reaches out to you, a homeowner reaches out to you. What I'll do is I will send a rate card and my e-card to them via text or email or whatever, and I'll tell the client that if you had bought a home, you have a plan with you, these are my charges, and take some time and see whether my charges is applicable, or you're comfortable with my charges. If you're not comfortable with my charges, then I don't think I'm going to be the idea for you. But if you are, let me know. Let's set up let's set up a time to speak over the phone and see how we gel. What are your intentions with the space and all. Most of the time, it all goes well, and then the client meets me in my design studio, brings up the plans, and we'll initiate a discussion, and I will just throw maybe some ideas, what I'm about and all. But I also tell all clients, check out my social media and see whether the kind of designs that I bring is something that you would resonate with, is something that you can use for your home. So if you're completely comfortable with that, then maybe I am the one with you. Putting aside dollar cents first, I'm the one for you. But if you think that you are coming with me with a complete different approach to design, or completely different concepts or different themes that you see from what I portray on my social media, maybe I'm not the one. So most of the time, most of the clients that land in my office are a kickoff, which means they're always, we'll always go ahead and start the job and all that. So when they come to the office, when I speak to them, and that's how I get to know them better, get more details, and I ask them what are the intentions, and then we'll talk a little bit about budget and all, and then they go back to think about it. Once they go back to think about it, usually in 1-2 days, I'll get a call. Okay, let's start this. Let's get this going. So then a quotation is being raised. They agree to the quotation, and then some terms and conditions. The paperwork. I won't get into the details. The paperwork is being given. Once everything is settled, then we start going into concepts and theme. I sometimes do give concept and themes before confirmation, but I usually don't, because concepts and themes are a start off to every project. So I tell the client, just give one image of a space. For example, a living area. Give me one image. Do not flood me with the entire Pinterest. Just give me one image. And from there, my task is to better that. My task is to understand that you come from an open canvas of this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably take 10% of you. I'm going to apply 90% of me, and I'm going to give you something better than what you sent me. So that process takes time. So once we go through concepts and all that, so concepts are not the exact image or the exact layout as your space. Concepts are just random photos that I think what you should be getting and what I would bring to the table. Once we go through concept and theme, and client is happy with the entire design approach, we then go into space planning, we then go into 3D renderings, and then we go into elevations. So these steps, and then we go into the part that I don't like the most, which is budgeting. we run through all that this takes about 2 to 3 months, and then the project kicks off.
So but does my traits as an individual ever come into your thoughts as to how you set up a home?
Oh, yes, that's all part of concept, because a family with small kids or family who are empty nesters or retired, it all matters into concept and theme. That is why I tell them to come to the office, because I get to know them first. I'll always ask my clients, so tell me a little bit of family. How many kids you have? Where do you stay right now? Show me the photo of your current home. I have to be a bit nosy for me to know. So that matters.
But a lot of your design, and again, please correct me if I'm using the right term, but it's very woody. It's wood, right? I think you called it as Lux Modern Minimalist. I think that's what you reference it as. But do you do other designs, or is it just this sort of umbrella? I
am mostly an interior designer that appreciates good wood, be it dark wood, light wood. I do love to use wood and appreciate the heritage of wood in most of my spaces. But I may change the colors. So if you look at my social media, it's always very neutral.
Yes.
It's all my friends will tease me, Shini, she loves a neutral palette. She's into a lot of beige, of whites and everything. I always tell them that if you hire into VSQ, you would get the base as neutral tones, but I will inject a little bit of color tones here and there. It depends. It depends on the client. But most of the clients who come to me, they are already in the same power of me because they've already seen. See, if you were to go into somebody's handle and look at a designer who's probably into super modern glam and all that. You already know that interior designer is going to be for you or not for you. And then if it's not for you, you pass. You keep looking. With the algorithms, you'll eventually find one.
Yeah.
So when you come to me, if I'm applicable to you, the show is on. And if I'm not, then,
Too bad. Huh?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, there's so many other designers out there that can give you what you want.
Okay.
But the clients that come to me already know what I represent. Yeah, it's Lux, but I would like to not market myself up so high up there. But it's an acceptable luxury setting that I offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just because this is a problem as I work as an investment manager, so I always analyze businesses. But I'm thinking, just to get your opinion, is that the right mode to go? Like a lot of people I've met, maybe who are starting up as interior decorators or contractors, they tend to go the full, the whole spectrum. They don't really focus like you, who focuses on this sort of certain types of designs. Is that the right way to go, or would you think that having a more blanket approach would help?
That's my flair.
That's your flair,
Yeah,
so it comes on your work.
this is my flair.
Okay.
So I'm good at it because I
Okay.
know my flair and I'm very confident in it and I'm very passionate about my flair. So if what I bring to the table is going to be that. But I have come across clients who has actually wanted a little bit more different approach to design. Like for example, some wanted it a bit more glam. Some, I will have to navigate that. I may give in a bit, but I might pull back. Like for example, if we are going for a transitional living space, and suddenly the client wants to bring in something from the yesteryear and all that, I might say let's just apply one or two pieces to the space. Let's not crowd the entire space with everything from the 1960s. Then it defeats the purpose. See, when you hire an interior designer, you trust the interior designer to bring the bestest out of designs to your home, right? Do not try and cloud the interior designer by trying to be sneakily injecting everything that you want. It'll eventually ruin the entire aesthetic. And I just feel it's a complete waste.
Interestingly, you were recently, I think a while back, you came out, you were featured in The Sun. So they used this term to sort of to sum you up, and basically saying that you are able to turn tight corners into beautiful and smart nooks. So I'm wondering, when I read that whole summation of you, I was thinking, like, does size of the space matter when it comes to interior design for you to come up with the work that you've done?
When you say Sun, I'm trying to recall the article. Sun.
It was a full page article.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
This must have been before pandemic.
Yeah.
Turning quirky corners into something nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a challenge. I love that. Give me a small space and let me curve the space for you and make it pretty.
Okay.
Or I do that all the time with powder rooms because Malaysian homes usually Malaysian homes usually their powder rooms are relatively small. So this article that you saw, it's actually, I think I answered it and I gave that feedback due to a powder room. Yeah. It was a 50 square feet. It was a 5 by 10, 50 square feet powder room.
Wow.
Yes. Sorry, it was 50. Yeah, 50, almost a 50 square feet powder room.
Okay.
It was a very challenging room. It didn't have much. Yeah.
But you love it.
Oh, it was one of the best.
This may be a stupid question, so
There's no stupid questions in our industry.
No.
There is no stupid questions.
Now, say for example, like for me, because I'm a type, I like my house clean. Okay, I don't like things lying everywhere and all that. So for me, when I was setting up my home, I told my wife, I said, but one thing, please don't do anything, any ID or setup that it makes it hard for me to clean. So when I look at your designs, they're very, they're beautiful. They're very intricate and all that. Do you ever consider pragmatism into your design, or is it all just hedonistic? It's all about the aesthetic?
No, No, it's not all. I mean, aesthetic is important, but you need to maintain every single material that you have. It's simple as that. See, the way you are thinking, it's like it's usability and how I maintain it and all that. There are also ways how to achieve beautiful design that makes easy maintenance as well. It's all about, you see, this boils down to being passionate.
Okay.
So you are coming from an industry whereby you just want everything to be easy and easy to clean. So I come from an industry where I'm going to give you something pretty.
Okay.
Maintaining that pretty aesthetic, that beautiful decor is something worthwhile because that's what you paid for and that's what you're getting and that's what you're living in. Why would you not take care of that stuff that you paid hefty for to get, right? So yeah, I mean, there are many ways. There's no right and wrong to it. It's like if you were to come to me, if you were to go and buy a home and come to me and say, Shini, I want you to design my home, but I want everything to be easy, then I said, just don't bother designing it. Just live with your developer tiles and just, go get yourself some this shelves and mount it easy to clean.
From IKEA.
IKEA is nice stuff, huh? IKEA is nice stuff.
No offense, please. You're welcome to come on the show as well. Now, I want to go into your process because, again, as I've said multiple times, I mean, it's so interesting to know how you come up with the designs that you do. You talk about something, design thinking, right? So can you elaborate on this? What do you mean by design thinking when, in terms of applying it in your process of coming out with the work that you have?
Design thinking is exhausting sometimes in today's. So design thinking is every single design, every single client, even though they come to me, they already know what I'm going to provide when it comes to design. But I need to differentiate that in every set of clients. Like I can't, even though they know what they're going to get, but I've got to tweak it and I've got to apply my thoughts and apply my design cap in every single new project so that I try not to repeat much of my designs everywhere. So the design thinking is basically the builds, the color schemes, the concepts, and the materials, the color of materials that you use. So you can have 2 modern mid-century homes, or you can have 2 minimalist homes. But when you put 2 spaces together, there is a difference. And even both are on the neutral palettes, but you still can see a difference. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's how, to get there, it's difficult. It's not something that you just go to bed with and wake up. It requires many days, many hours of thinking, of frustrations, because before you present a design to the client, I myself will go through so many changes on my own, because I won't be satisfied with my design until I feel, okay, it's good enough to bring it out in a rendering to show the client. So I would like to take this opportunity and tell the viewers out there, to whoever who's watching it, coming out with an image after concept and theme is not copy and paste. It does not take a day, it does not take 2 days, it takes months sometimes to come up with good. And it really depends on the square feet of your layout. And you need to allow the designer to have the time to bring out the bestest of design. Again, it's a trust between a client and a designer. So I always write it in my TNC that do not rush a designer. This is the amount of time I need to come up. And sometimes as designers, the bestest of design comes out at a rush hour, right towards the end, right? Like somehow it just clicks towards the end. Yeah. So you need to trust and let give the designer that you hire enough time to come up with the designs. Of course, there's a cutoff lah. I mean, you're not going to be sitting down there and waiting for the designer. There must be a win-win situation between both. There must be a black and white saying, hey, I take this amount of time. Are you cool with that? And then the homeowner say, hey, but I don't have that amount of time. Can you work it out in this? And then you can break it down into 2 sections. Maybe we do this space first, and then we do this space. There's a lot of way how to work it out.
I'm just curious after listening to you. Share, if you would, one of the most difficult projects that you had to do in terms of client management. You don't have to mention names.
So, is this going to land me in hot water? It was a project not in KL. I'm not going to say the location. It was outskirt. It was one of my most toughest tasks. It took on at least about 2.5 years. And there were a lot of drawbacks, and there were a lot of issues that we had to handle, and I'm just going to stop there.
You had me waiting for something, and then
It's not right. I mean, more. They were all. Everybody has. But if you ask me, the challenge, that's been one, lah.
That's been one.
That's the most difficult one.
Okay.
But it's all good now.
It's all good
Yep.
now. I was waiting for some ups and
No,
downs.
you're not going to get any juicy stories because I don't have any juicy. I just deliver beautiful homes to my clients. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, you do. Okay, so let's go to the positives then. Of course, I'm sure you've had many successes. So, what are some of the successful applications in your project? Some of the projects that you've done that have come out really successfully.
Wow, there are a few. I had a client who is now my friend. Who lives a couple of blocks away from me. She actually bought almost the same layout, the same unit that I have, and she was one of my clients who, when I presented my designs, she never questioned anything. When I sent my first round of views and my renderings and my 3Ds to her, I remember the meeting went so smoothly, and the client was like, okay, so when can we start? I'm like, can we change anything? And she's like, this is exactly what I wanted. So we completed the whole unit in almost 6 months, in 90% exactly to the rendering.
Wow.
With the budget that was allocated, and it came out exactly the rendering. There was no interruptions. There was no micromanaging from the client's side. The client said, I'll just move in with the suitcase. Shini, just tell me when to move in. And I'm very proud to say it was 90% of my rendering. Nothing was changed. And thankfully, everything at site went well. There was not much site issues to feel. Because when I say site issues, it's not so much of people. It's the site itself. You will encounter a lot of things when you bring down certain walls, and there's a lot of surprises that awaits you in sites that you cannot anticipate at the beginning of a design. So you need to go through the process for you to experience that. So that was one, and I just recently completed a duplex in Trias Puteh.
That's where I stay.
Oh, Trias Puteh?
No, I stay in Saputeh.
Okay, all right. So that took about 6 months, and we had a bit of change here and there due to a wood stain finish that affected the natural light and all that. But it's almost...
God, it's so complex.
It is. It's if you don't have the passion for it, you're going to just look at it as a job. But if you have a passion for it, it's going to affect you. And when it affects you, it can be draining on the person who's doing the job. Like, I'm designing it. I'm so in tune with whatever that is happening that it affects me. If something doesn't come out the way I am, I call up my downliners, and then I go back to the drawing board, and I go back to the item. I ask, how did it happen here? What affected it? How can we do this? And then this is where your team comes into play. You need to have a good team that's going to be able to work with you. So I'm lucky enough to be able to have a team that can navigate these kind of challenges when it comes by. So, yeah, that's...
But, I mean, you have this team now. I think because I know someone close to me who's also in the business, and of course, working with contractors is difficult. And especially in your case, where I would assume that you are sort of like the glue that holds the team together, right? Your contractors.
The mother.
The mother. That's a better word. Yeah, sorry. Not glue, mother. So, but previously, I mean, what are some of the challenges that you face working with all these different types of contractors?
So a lot previously, before I got my entourage together, I was working with a couple of contractors who had many jobs on their plate. So I was just one of them. So getting them to commit, getting them to adhere to my timeline, and getting them to do it exactly what I want, that was a challenge. See, that I was considered a newbie. So I was being pushed around. Like I was like, they used to like, I had to work to their timeline. I had to work to their demands. But now it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So that was the challenges, and yeah, there was a lot of stumbling block. But even though we went through a lot of issues at the beginning of my career, somehow we pulled through. Somehow we delivered through all the tears, through all the issues that we had. We managed to. I managed to hand over the unit to the client, and the client is still staying. Those clients are still staying there until today.
No, just a bit of a segue because of like what you said about how you had to sort of pay your dues. It's sort of like what you're saying, because you had to work for another person's timeline, and then now they work for yours, right? A lot of people tend to complain about this, especially in the startup phase. So do you think that process is something that's needed, where when you start a business, you sort of have to go through that months or maybe years even of that sort of breaking your back to get to a point where now you can make the demands? In
my industry, and I'm sure in every industry, that's a must.
It's a must.
That's a must. But the falling part is the best, because every time you fall, you know when you get up and get going for the next job, you know what to expect. Today, I can foresee. My team will always roll their eyes at me. I can foresee something that's going to happen at site, and I will indicate it a week before, and sure enough, that would take place.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this in a boastful way, but because I don't know how else to say. We're in this industry where we see so many things going wrong. When we see this going wrong, we already know what to expect in the next job, because we've already gone through it in the last time before, right? In the last job, right? So I'm already prepared. Okay, we went through that. Will we go through this? Will that area give me the issue that I had before? So I'm always constantly preempting everybody. Sometimes it's annoying. It's annoying to my team, but sometimes they prove me wrong. They said no, you're wrong. It's everything is good, but it takes a lot of falls, and you have to be thick-skinned to a certain extent, because you are going to be pushed around. You're going to be pushed around by contractors. You're going to be pushed around by clients who are, some unreasonable clients, and then you're going to be pushed around by demand suppliers. Everybody's going to be testing your limits. You just need to hold through. Break down if you want to break down, scream if you want to scream, because tomorrow is another day at site, and you still need to deliver. It's
interesting because the world of construction is generally perceived as a very male-dominated segment, especially construction, carpenters, plumbers, and all that. Is it difficult, or is it more challenging for as a woman to actually operate in this space?
Not at all. Not at all. Actually, let me rephrase this. Not at all now. But back then, I was intimidated by everyone around me, these contractors, because they were the boisterous ones, because I was the newbie. So, but now, not at all. There are so many wonderful female interior designers out there. Oh gosh, it's. I don't think we should even be having a topic of female or male anymore. Every designer out there, be it male or female, is slaying the game. My design collective team, we all move together, and we have got female and the males. We run together. We're so supportive of each other. It's no.
Awesome. No. Good to hear.
No such thing.
No such thing.
Nope,
sorry.
Not at all.
Yes, I'm not permeating the wrong message. Anyway. Now, what do you think are the the common misconceptions that people have when hiring an interior designer?
That the interior designer is going to be their assistant. That the interior designer is going to be, I tell you what to do and you just do what I say. That interior designer is a site supervisor. That interior designer only belongs to you. And I'll be very, very frank with you. This is happening in the industry. I'm probably going to get lots of flack for saying this, but it is what it is. That interior designer is being hired to only do what the payee would want him to do, and not letting the designer work her own ideas and work her own flair into your space, because you hired the interior designer based upon what you saw, what she brings to the table. So let the interior designer do the job. Micromanaging, if you're a client, if you hire an interior designer, always check from the start whether you're going to be able to gel. The designer bringing the designs to the table is one thing. What about the communication? What about people skills? Are you comfortable sitting in front of an interior designer? Is she giving you the vibe that you think that you can gel with for the next couple of months? Do you feel the trust that you have with her? Is she making sense? Is the designer making sense to you? Is a designer going to be this one person you're comfortable to look at for the next 6 months and deal with? So
all that needs to be thought.
Designing is just the second step, but the marriage between a client and a designer is very important. I am very lucky that most of the clients that I have, it's an amazing relationship. 80% of them today are friends of mine, and because of the trust and because of the valuable friendship and the working relationship / friendship after that we have developed, that has helped in my business, in the sense that, okay, you want somebody that you can work with who will give you what you want to a certain extent, or hopefully, get to know this person. But there are sometimes I've faced a couple of clients that I myself thought that it's just not going anywhere, because I can already feel at the beginning this is not going to work out. So I'll be very honest, because honesty is the best policy in this game. You're being honest, you tell it from the start, it's easy on both sides. Don't try and sugarcoat anything or try to work too much to each other's demands. That's going to cause you a burnout when the job starts, because the expectations from both sides is like you expect this from a client, but the client expects this from a designer, and that expectations are not met. That results in bad management. That results in bad project coordination at site, and that leads to frustrations. And then both sides are not going to get what you want. So immediately see whether you can gel. But I always spend many hours, many phone calls with clients to explain in detail. This is what's going to be. This is what's going to be. Besides then what you see on a paper, it's going to be a roller coaster, but we will deliver at the end. Regardless what happens, you will get the home, you will get what you see in the picture. If the budget is followed, and if you don't micromanage, you will get exactly what I bring to the table. And if there's anywhere where I have to fall short, and that doesn't mean that that does not mean that sometimes I don't trip. I trip too. But when I trip, I better have a plan B. Like if I were to tell the client, for example, I'm going to be giving you a certain sofa, and for some reason that particular sofa is not working out to exactly what I want, and I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with the base of the unit, and I'm not happy with how it's looking at. I'm going to say, you know what? This is not going to work. Let me show you what's going to work next. This is the best. I'm going to make this work in the design. So that's the trust, right? Now, if there's no trust in there, it's going to be difficult.
No, but again, please share your thoughts on this, because one thing I think that also maybe helping you to always get the clients that sort of agree with you or sort of are in sync, they are in sync with you, is also the way you package yourself, right?
Yes.
Because if you look at your Instagram and all, it's very clear that this is what you do. You have even mentioned it multiple times. I think the problem happens when a lot of modern day IDs, they try to do everything. So they are like jack of all trades, but then master of none kind of thing. And it often, then they start to, cut corners, because the goal is to take as many projects as possible, Is that a problem?
Oh, no. So I have this whiteboard that looks like you go to school, you have these whiteboards, right? And I have a certain I have a couple of lines on the board, right? I will never take on more than what my numbers prove on the board. And if a client comes to me and I'm already, all the lines are filled up, I will say, listen, I'm filled up right now, but come back in 2 months down the road, I will be handing over this build, then I can put you in. So I will, because the thing is, I work with a certain team, so I roll with that team, right?
Yeah.
They know me. They know what even if I'm not in the country, they know how to navigate the whole site without me, because I've already prepped them and I've already trained them to do so. So it's not fair for me to keep taking jobs just because for monetary or for any other purpose when I can't. That's going to affect my delivery for the rest. And also, I am 100% site person, and I'm proud to say that I love going to sites. Yeah, I mean, of course, there are days where I just cry before I go to site, but most of the days, going to site is crucial. It's important because if you do not check your sites, the jobs and your project sites that you're working in, you will miss out a lot of things, that you don't see. You won't know what happens after a ceiling comes down. But if you have a good team like mine, they'll update you and all, but you have to go to site. Once you go to site, you are very confident in knowing how to handle a matter that comes along, or if the client calls you and asks you, said, hang on, let me get back to you. Go back, check the site and all, what's happening at site. So for me to be able to go to site, I'm one person. I mean, I cannot be handling more than what I can, take on. So I have to be comfortable with that number, so I know I'm able to do my rounds in that whole week and cover all the sites.
And also, I think having a very limited sort of number also sort of lends more. It sort of affirms the whole premiumness of the brand. So it's not available,
Yeah, that now that you say it that way, it makes sense. But for me, it's more of it's what I bring to the table, not to appear as if this is just a job. Like I truly want a beautiful space. Like I truly want you to sit in that living hall, and among all the flaws that you see, that you might just think down the road, this place turned out nice. The sofa that I'm sitting, I remember my ID. She forced me to follow the design. It is and after following design, I'm getting my space this way.
Okay.
So I'm not expecting any kind of appreciation, just that let the process flow, trust your ID. No need. I mean, there's no need for much. Just let the ID bring her renderings to life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, when I was looking at your home and all, I really like the glass thing that you did with the plants outside. That's a perfect podcast background.
I must say that's. The glass, the fixed panels that you saw on the IG, that's actually mine. But the plants at the back is doing and my husband's idea. My husband loves landscape, and also anything beyond the square feet inside. Big, huge props to my husband.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, now that, of course, before this, when I was growing up, I remember the style of decorating was very cluttered. It was, pictures everywhere and like stay for that.
I wouldn't use the word cluttered.
Okay.
I would.
I'm a guy.
I wouldn't use the word cluttered. There are many themes, messy. And there are many jargons to it.
The saturated style of decor. Okay.
Cluttered. Oh my God! Client comes to me and says, "My cluttered."
But what are the modern trends that we should keep an eye on in terms of in the world of ID?
Keeping it contemporary, keeping it timeless. You can achieve peace from having a maximalist setup, maximalism decor, and a minimalist space as well. There's beauty in both. Actually, I apply both sides and the end of both sides to my design, because there are times where I will max out the space. I will put many different tones, neutrals that fills up the space, but it does not feel heavy. It does not feel dated. It does not feel difficult for you to be in. But yet there are many things to appreciate. And then there are times where I go totally zen. You know, it all, again, I tell you, these concepts depends on the client and the ID.
Okay. I mean, your home that you have, the one that was featured on Tatler, right? How long did that whole project take?
So I'm going to be getting lots of DMs from my personal friends. I tend to keep up with the trends.
Okay.
So I tend to I wouldn't use renovate. I tend to keep up by remodeling my home every now and then. So each time I remodel, it can take about 2 to 3 months, because I know the trade, right? I know how to navigate my entire space. Plus, so I have the time with me. So I keep on little by little. You know, the home that you saw in Tatler is not exactly what it is right now. It's already gone through a change.
Have you changed those?
It might go through a
Another
change next year. Don't know.
Have you changed those ghost chairs? I mean,
oh yes, that's gone.
Thank God.
That's gone.
That was the only thing I was like, I hate these chairs.
Hey, there was a pretty element back then. Like, you see, design evolves, right? Ghost chairs were a thing back then, and now it's something else. Okay. And who knows, today's chairs may appear to be something else in future, right?
So it's like how bell bottoms are back. Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it keeps rotating.
It does. It's
right?
a cycle.
Retro is back.
It is.
Retro furnishings are back. The 1970s velveteen fabrications are back.
I love those.
So you at some point of time, there were some people saying, "Oh, velvet. I don't like velvet." But now you're applying it design. I tell you, I've learned mistakes. Never ever shoot down a design, because in 10 years, 20 years down the road, it probably will make a comeback. You know, back then, 70s, early 80s, you know, we had all our mosaics that were patterned, and now they're bringing it to all our artsy-fartsy cafes. That's coming back. You know, when you were designing your home 10 years down the road, you would have never thought that you're going to use those mosaics. You would have never thought that you can use those mosaics from the yesteryear, but merge it in today's design and make it look adaptable, make it look presenting, and make it look today.
Yeah, of course.
So don't diss the ghost chairs. It might come back in 10 years down the road. The ghost might be back to hunt you.
I apologize. I take that back. So, you know, I mean, last but not least, I mean, of course, you talk a lot about the effects of the pandemic that it's had on your business. So how has the market, your business, changed? Because you started before.
Yes.
What are the challenges you went through during the pandemic, and how is it now for you?
I was very lucky and blessed that it has affected the industry a lot. But for me, for VSQ Interiors, when we hit pandemic, the first lockdown, I already had tons of design and build lined up. So we were just waiting for the pandemic to be over for me to get back into the game. I had about 4 to 5 design builds already ready before the pandemic hit. Meaning some were already, payouts were done, some we already ordered the soft furnishing, some were already, the license were out, and everything was ready to start. And then, pandemic happened. So throughout the pandemic, I just took the time to actually, I took the pandemic to learn a lot. I took the time off the pandemic to learn a lot. That's the time where I went into getting to know the design industry a little bit more deeper because time was in my hand. So by the time pandemic was over and we were all slowly coming back, I had to bring those design in builds that we paused before the pandemic back to the table. We had to do a bit of tweaks. Oh, and the one not so great thing is the budget tweaks lah. Because the prices before the pandemic and the prices after the pandemics were different.
Different, yeah.
Okay. I had a situation where a particular set of windows, your powder coated windows and all, the bills were closed at 40,000 before the pandemic, and after the pandemic, when the order went through, the bill jacked up to 70K.
Wow.
Yeah, that's. But it was a huge volume. It was a house from the get go, so it was a huge volume because prices have increased everywhere.
Wow,
so these are very sensitive but real issues that not many people talk about. That is why when we spoke, I was saying that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be as raw as possible. The difference in prices before pandemic and like what I was saying just now, 10 years down, it's different. It's different.
Okay.
Well, some contractors they've already gone through a caveat where they can't adjust the price anymore. They've gone into loss, which result in many companies closing.
Yeah.
Do you know some of I've known companies that had actually already ordered the materials before pandemic. They had to close after pandemic, because they just could not cope with. They had to honor the client. They had to honor the client's bill, right? So they had to use their own funds, and most of them, a lot of them actually fell deep.
Yeah, it was a tough time for everyone.
It was a tough time for the contractors.
Yeah.
Some managed to stay afloat. Some are still paying the price until today. Yeah.
So at one go, as you mentioned, your whiteboard, how many projects can you take at max?
I take about 6 to 7.
And
at one time.
At one time. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. My friends will probably think I'm mad, but yeah.
Wow, amazing. Now, so let's.
But it's actually it's norm. 6 to 7 is actually norm.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a design industry, 6 to 7 is actually quite norm.
So I'm just curious, how long did it take for you to, from the time you started in 2012, how long did it take for you to be where you are now? How many years to build this business, build its reputation?
I started 2012. That was a good 3 to 4 years of a learning curve. Stumbling, getting up, learning the programs, learning the software. And today, I think I picked up my game at least a good, I think about 7 years ago.
Wow.
I picked up the game. Solidly about 5 years ago. My team came together. I started forming a team in a span of a year. So in that 1 year, I had to reshuffle my team, go through like how cabinet reshuffle, reshuffle everything, and then finally I sat on a team.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also have a standby team, but I rarely use them because I'm very comfortable with my A game team.
Okay.
When I say A game, that does not mean I'm putting myself out there and saying that the bestest. Everybody has their own, but my set of people that I work with, they understand my design. It's very important. When I say good set of contractors, that does not mean that they are perfect. There is no such thing as perfect contractors. Anybody perfect in this industry, and I'm sure every industry is the same thing. Never step into the game thinking that you're going to get everything perfect. But it's how you navigate a problem or a challenge. You need to have good backup. That's your contractors.
Yeah, that's true. So now that you are here, what's the future like for you? What's the plan for the future for VSQ?
I'm going to keep designing until I feel it's right. I feel it's relevant. I'm going to keep designing until I love the game. I still love the game. I do have my set of frustrations, but the frustrations I have, it's not the design. It's more of the people in the industry. It can be workers, it can be clients, it can be tradesmen. Actually, if you ask any interior designer, again, I'll be very raw about it. I don't think any interior designer treats this job as a 9 to 5 or as a job. In interior design, right, it's passion. Without passion, I don't think you're going to survive this trade. Because this trade comes together with a lot of people skill, managing different set of people, managing people at different time where frustrations kick in. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not. You are soaking in all sorts of emotions. You're soaking in. You're taking care of the client, then you're taking care of your contractors, and you're taking care of your fabricators, your suppliers. In a day, you're dealing with so many people. Your design is at the back. Your design is waiting to kick off. But before that happens, you're dealing with a contractor who had issues with another team who did not finish on time. You're dealing with that. Then a client calls, and then you have to deal with that. And then things happen at a construction site at your build. You need to deal with that. And the wood and say, for example, an item comes item comes to site, and that item is not what you wanted. It wasn't the dimension that you wanted. You're dealing with that. So by the time you go back, you're pooped out already.
Yeah.
So if you don't have passion for this industry, you know what? I don't think
you'll make it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's my point of view. Huh?
No, fair enough.
It may be different from everyone else.
Now, just one last one. Again, I mean, let's zoom out a bit from the world of ID and go a bit macro to you as an individual. You've built this successful business of yours. What's your advice? How do you do that?
Learning business.
Learning business. You're still learning business, but you're doing...
Every day is a learning process.
Learning process.
Yes. If you've looked at me as successful, I mean, I'm doing something, but every day is a learning process.
So you're successfully learning very well. Yeah.
So much more to learn.
But in these 12 years, what has been some of the things that you have learned along the way? The tips that you have for other people who may be wanting to start a business now and all that. What should they do?
Learn to leave everything. Learn to, while you're passionate about interior design, leave the unnecessary things towards the end of the day. Don't take it to the next day. Gotta be thick skin. You cannot take anything to heart. And it's not about what happens at the moment. It's about the end game. It's about the day you hand over the entire job to the client. When you do that, all the things that you have faced, all the issues, all the flaws, all the emotional roller coasters that you rode in, that will be done. Because they're never going to remember that. They're never going to remember a certain date, what took place, what happened. But they're going to open the door and be wowed. I get this from you. No. That's important. So if you're having a bad day, it's not going to be that the next day.
Awesome.
Because there's in a week, there's going to be 1 or 2 days where you're going to be so damn proud of yourself, because when, for example, when something comes, when you see your design coming together, that, and I'm not talking about a client saying anything to you, no, it's between you and your job, right? This is exactly what I wanted. That little thing is enough to boost you and carry you throughout. Yeah.
Nice.
Don't take it personal.
Don't take it personal. Huh? Take it all on the chin and move
Yep.
on. There we go. Lovely. Thank you so much, Ms. Shini, for coming on the show.
Most welcome.
I've had so much fun talking to you. I am definitely going to work with you for my next home. I should have known you earlier. So that's all, guys, we have today with Ms. Shini and VSQ Interiors. We'll be sharing all her links. So if you guys want to get in touch and have her have a look at your home and turn it into the dream home that you always wanted, she's the person to go, especially if you like wood-themed designs and marble and all that. I mean, I just loved your design, man. I really
Thank
do.
you.
I really do. So, we, as I said, we'll be sharing all her links. So, drop her a note, and I'm sure her team will get back to you. Till next time, as always, please share, like, subscribe, and thank you again, Shini, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. As always, stay tuned with more amazing interviews coming along. All the best to VSQ Interiors and Ms. Shini. For the rest of y'all, take care. Have a good week. We'll see you soon. Bye.